It's hard to believe we're back in the land of panic so soon in Toronto. Although maybe it shouldn't. Earlier this season there was a trend by some to write the Maple Leafs fights as redux versions of what happened last year, when they started slow, and then played at a 119-point pace from November 1st. Advertising. Only Colorado was better at this. However, there are a number of differences between this slow start and this one. First, Auston Matthews is not coming out of major surgery. For another, it was okay to score goals as it was a year ago when Michael Hutchinson was still starting games for some reason. More importantly, the Leafs faced a very poor schedule, one of the easiest leagues ever, and their core results in terms of puck possession and expected goals were extremely mediocre. They don't score. They don't play good defense. They don't control the game and just get unlucky. They're just, really, charitably put, meh right now. The easy part of the Leafs' schedule has effectively come to an end as this weekend looming back-to-back against Boston and Carolina. The rest of the way, the Leafs have one of the hardest runs of any team. Major changes will be needed if they cannot fix some of the things that are bothering them relatively quickly. If you've been following the latest firestorms in the city, this isn't really news. Various media outlets and betting sites have put Sheldon Keefe in the hot seat from the start of the campaign, and this last four-game losing streak only went to 11. And I got it. Aries is usually the first to go in such situations. Especially in a tight border environment where roughly two-thirds of the league is either on long-term injury reserves or within $500,000 of the $82.5 million ceiling, they may be more throwaway than big-paying stars. Keefe wasn't perfect in his tenure with the Leafs, but he has a 0.669 point percentage, one of the highest in league history, and led them to a 115-point campaign a year ago. He's also not responsible for a lot of confusion with the roster, including the lack of scoring options in the last six, and a lack of defensive depth with Jake Muzzin, Timothy Liljegren and Jordy Ben. Advertising. I believe they should give him more time to fix the ship. And they should give him more to work with. This brings us to the main alternative to firing the coach in early November, a trade-off. While the start of the season isn't the best time to explore the NHL's trading market, and the Leafs will be trading from a weak position given the skidding they've lost, there's something in GM Kyle Dubas' favor. With Muzzin at LTIR, probably for the remainder of the season from what I've heard, Toronto could put the bulk of its $5.625 million salary to work on the open market. Part of that will have to be allocated to Liljegren, who played a few games with the Marlies over the weekend as part of his rehab assignment. But even in the worst-case scenario, the Leafs will have an extra $4 million in financial flexibility, something that the vast majority of teams in the playoff race don't. In the best-case scenario, Dubas could try to trade some of his underperforming players as part of any move, freeing up more payroll room. Some of the best candidates to shake things up would be Justin Hall, Pierre Engvall, Alexander Kerfoot or Nicholas Aube-Kubel. If they keep losing, maybe bigger names might be involved. However, even without removing a significant roster piece, the Leafs are now in a position to be players that make a difference in a deal, assuming some of their give-up consists of hopes or predictions. Although Jacob Chychrun plays almost exclusively on the left side and has a recent injury history, he's got a name there are some buyer-attentive factors there. John Klingberg, an interesting idea when the Ducks are in free fall. He's only on a one-year deal and can help Toronto's right-wing disc movement issues. Advertising. Other types of pending UFAs that Leafs can target. Vladislav Gavrikov in Columbus is very interesting given how strong he is on defense. Damon Severson, Scott Mayfield, Shane Gostisbehere, Dmitry Kulikov, Justin Braun, Kevin Shattenkirk and Troy Stecher are also potential loan players and can all play on the right. The defense is sane about how badly some Leafs blue liners wobble, but they can also use the border areas to find point assist for the last six forward group or try to add another goalie to raise third corner Eric Kallgren. With injuries sustained early, the Leafs are freezing a roster that earned under the line $10 million some nights. Making up at least some of Muzzin's salary by spending it will be vital in the coming months. The Leafs have had a good chance of hitting their mid-season deals this year and taking a chance up the sleeve, going back to when they added Muzzin almost 4 years ago. They also bought the struggling Jack Campbell and strengthened their blue lines by bringing in Ilya Lyubushkin and Mark Giordano a year ago. It can be done. However, besides improving the roster, the other positive aspect of going the trade route is the message it sends, especially if it involves sending a longtime teammate, or even someone playing on the roster. The message, in part, is that the Leafs won't fire the coach at the first sign of trouble. It's also a message that more deals could come if they continue to drop. Because frankly, it looks like a bunch of players who could use some of that extrinsic motivation.